Welcome to No Such Thing as Normal podcast with Natalie Hayes and Jess McKeown.
This is a casual podcast where we talk about all the things you're not supposed to talk about in order to help you normalize your real life, because really we're all just a bunch of weirdos having a completely human experience in a society that asks us to pretend like we're not.
And I'm your host, Jess, a gifted spirit baby medium who facilitates deep soul healing by channeling divine messages.
And I'm your other host, Natalie, an intuitive mentor and transformative healer.
Be sure to subscribe where you listen to podcasts, watch our 100% unedited episodes on YouTube, and you can also follow us on Instagram at McJaguar and at Intuitively Natalie for more weirdo and woo-woo content.
And if you like this episode, please be sure to rate and review and share it and tag us on social media so that more people can unleash their weird with you.
Woo-woo!
We took an accidental 2-week break.
Yeah. 1 week for me celebrating my birthday and being in Joshua Tree. And then what would we call the second week? Just like,
integration.
Yeah, integration, which is actually so important in your spiritual journey, I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit has been giving me this really cool thing for clients where it was like, they kind of showed it like a fountain moving, like continuous circle. I kind of envisioned it as like a chocolate fountain, like the chocolate comes up, it comes out, it's sweet, it goes back down, it keeps recirculating. Which is expand, right? Kind of open up to that part, learn the lessons and then integrate it. And people forget sometimes to integrate. And that's part of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we tried to meet and talk, but I just couldn't. And I couldn't share about Joshua Tree just yet, but now I can.
Yeah, I'm excited because I haven't heard about it. So I'm excited to hear about it. Isn't there a diagram, like a physics diagram of like energy? Like it's a quantum energy field. And the energy is going like up through the person, then and out and around.
Yes, that is the more correct version versus a chocolate fountain.
Same.
Yes, it's the same. It's like this really beautiful circular energy. And okay, so Joshua Tree was amazing. But
why did you go there?
Okay. I went to Joshua Tree because I live in the Pacific Northwest and it's cold AF and rainy AF and gray AF in February and March. Like when I moved here, somebody's like, if you can go out of the Pacific Northwest 2 times a year, go in February and November. And if you can go only once, go in February.
Absolutely.
So I went in March, which is close enough. And I really wanted some heat. I wanted some sunshine. I'm from Southern California. So I love nice warm weather. I love 70 degrees. I love sunshine. So I wanted that. Also, we had a bunch of Alaska credits that we had to use before the end of the year. So I sort of like purchased really quickly on New Year's Eve a ticket to Los Angeles. And that's where I'm from. That's my hometown. So I always like to go places that are meaningful for me on my birthday. And just being back in the place that I was born was really cool. And then I think probably I went to Joshua Tree once when I was a kid with my dad or my mom or something, but it's only about a 3-hour drive from LA. But I don't really remember it. And I had these visions for like desert quest, vision quests. I'm like, go out into the desert. Yeah. And just be like, give me all the info, spirit. Well, fuck the desert. Whew.
It's hot.
I'm not a desert girl, I've learned.
How? Why? I love the desert.
Okay. So, this is one of my crazy experiences. So they're like, bring food, bring water, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be hot. And I was like, great, I've got this. And we had this whole bag of snacks and everything. And we were going to do this little drive into the park. And, you kind of like, it's very much a driving park. So you drive, you park a little spot, and then you do like little internal hikes and come back. And I didn't know how long we were going to be in there, how big the park is. I was like, okay, maybe we'll like go do this little hike, come back, have some lunch or whatever. There's nothing in the park. Nothing besides the park. There's like a little store at each of the entrance, like, then they're like miles and miles apart. And like, they sell like Cliff Bars and shit. Like there's no food.
Right.
So I didn't bring my snacks.
Jess.
And I know, I don't know why, again, they were packed, but I needed to have this experience. My guides are saying to me. And then I just brought water because I thought, we're just going to go on a hike. And I just figured like, there'd be like places to go where like, it's not that far, So we're driving. Yeah, it's a national park. I should have fucking looked at a map, but maps don't work that well there.
No,
your map data doesn't work. And we did some cool little hikes and everything. And then I'm like, okay, we're kind of getting low on water and, it'd be nice to have a snack, but it's okay. And then we were at this point where we're like, should we like drive all this way and then come around, or should we like go back and da-da-da? And Dan's like, oh yeah, let's just like drive this way. And I was like, okay. And then like the time starts going and I'm like, oh my God, like we're like low on water. We don't have any food. And I went into this like panic, but I was like sitting there quietly, like,
but internally
like panicking, being like, what's going to happen? Which isn't like a generational wound of mine, like not having food. Right. So like that came up and then I went to like, that's so dumb. Like, how do you go into a national park? How do you go on a road trip? How do you go hiking without food? Like, especially when you like had it all neatly packed. So I was like braiding myself and having this moment. And like, really, I mean, you guys, we were maybe like an hour from civilization, right? It wasn't really like that far.
6 hours.
It was daytime. There was tons of people, you know, like I wouldn't have died. I felt like I was going to die. and then I got so mad at myself for not being prepared. It was my own fault. And I was like, this must be some past life trauma coming forward.
Absolutely.
And so we finally get in and we find a place to eat. And I'm like, oh my God, food, water. Like, and I just swore to myself that I would never do that again. But it's these experiences that like get you like very close to death in the desert because there's nothing out there. There's no shade, you know, and it looks like you're on a different planet, especially in Joshua Tree. There's giant boulders and, you know, it was hot, not like 120 degrees hot because we were there in March, but in March it was already hot. And I saw these people just like hiking through the desert and I was like, that looks boring. Like, why would you just hike through this? I was like, do you want to ride? Do you want to get in? Like, it's all done? The same. It's just cactus and rocks. Yeah. And I was like, that doesn't look fun. Whereas like here in the Pacific Northwest, like you hike, you go there's up, stuff. You get views, there's pretty stuff, there's waterfalls and everything. There was nothing there. So I was like cool at first, like, yeah, I like this. This is fun. And then I was kind of like, ugh, desert kind of scared me out. Yeah. But back at the Airbnb where I had food and water and I could sit outside in the morning, I would journal, I would listen to the birds, you know, I noticed that like there was no crows there. There's like tons of crows in Seattle. So there was all these different birds. There was ravens in the park, which are cooler, but kind of dopier than crows. They're kind of like, oh, I'm a raven. Like they're funny. They're kind of like so big.
They're huge.
They're huge. Right. And they kind of always fly in like pairs, like 2 or 3 of them. It's so cute. Where crows, there's like usually like 4 or 5. A murder. So when I was like in a safe space, I started like just really feeling the desert vibes. And I did some breath work and just a lot of downloads came through. And I always like to say, like, I always think downloads are going to come when I'm out in the desert freaking out, but they really come in the integration process. They really come after I've had these big, crazy experiences. I've expanded myself. I've opened myself up. I've, you know, faced those fears or felt those fears. And I come back into that safety and then I can let those kind of work through me. So what I downloaded in the desert
always have snacks.
Yeah.
Number one.
And what came to me was it's time to teach people how to connect with their spirit babies. And so I have been working and will continue to work on it this, you know, kind of springtime, summertime, and I'm going to launch it in the fall on October 15th, which is the last day of the awareness month for those who have lost babies. It's going to start on that Sunday, I think, or Saturday, is teaching you how to use these skills and how to connect with your babies. And, you know, my practice is booming. I'm booked out a lot, which is so great and wonderful, but there's so many ways that people can still tap in. And Spirit's been saying, like, it's so much more meaningful when you have the connection, when you develop your signature with your baby, when you ask for sign to get it, as we know, right? So I was just like really excited about that. And it just starts to download little bits by little bits. And so that was really good to kind of receive that. And then I also just had fun with my husband, like celebrating my birthday, like going on weird adventures. We went out to this place called Big Rock, which is, or Giant Rock, which is a giant rock, which I tagged my post and then somebody liked it. And I was like, oh, and he's a photographer in Joshua Tree. And he did a couple of posts about Giant Rock. And he said that like, there's a story about aliens, like moving them.
We talked about this last episode.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, oh my God, yes, aliens. Because you guys, like people are like, how did that move? Right. So we walked around there and it was funny because we get there and then it's like maybe 2 miles out into the desert on this like bumpy ass road. And you're just like, again, I'm like, I hope I don't break down. I had water and snacks that time. I was like so prepared. And then we like get to this part and we're like, okay, it should be here. It should be here. And then we see this like trailer, just like rando trailer, just like sitting out there. We're like, this is kind of weird. Like, are they making meth or are they like communing with nature? We don't know.
Yeah.
And then we just park. There's nobody else around. I get out. I'm like, oh, cool. There's a big rock. I'm taking pictures. My husband, Dan, is just like standing back watching me, just being like, and like watching the perimeter. And these 2 old dudes come around the corner. And they're like talking about the rocks and everything. And my husband's like, I'm so naive. I'm so trusty. I'm like, hi, what are you doing?
His radar was going off.
Yeah. And he's like, what if they like, and then I had this moment where I was like, they could like capture us and like take us into that trailer and like, nobody would know about us. I probably watched way too much crime documentaries, but it was good. It was fun. And on the way out there's this really cool place called, I think it's called Integration. And it's a dome kind of a shaped thing. And they do sound baths in there, but they were sold out. But there's a lot that I learned that I want to go back, but probably not like high on my list to go right back. But I would go back. I also bought totally overpriced crystals at the Joshua Tree crystal store.
Of course.
But I got an aquamarine and I got a local rock.
Love that you bought an aquamarine in the desert. You were like, yes, ocean.
But that's my birthday stone. And it's like shaped like a heart, kind of. It's really
nice.
Cute. But yeah, it was really fun. And then like the first day was the park. And then the second day we kind of went around to the little towns, went to Palm Springs. And so it was nice to just be out of my normal day to day and get back into that exploring spirit and just kind of like talking with people and interacting and going into little stores and just, I felt a sense of like normalcy in my life again, because this is what I love to do is I love to travel and meet people. So it was a lot of fun.
That's really fun.
Oh, also we did get kind of sunburned.
Yeah.
And we walked into this like, hippie grocery store and they had these big slices of aloe. So my husband and I got a big aloe leaf.
Yeah.
And then we rubbed aloe on each other for our sunburns, which I was like, how fucking cool is that? He ripped it open. It was all goopy. It was very fun.
That's the best. It
was great. But yeah, it made me realize like, I want to be near water. Water is calming. It's a fire sign. Isn't that funny? But I like water. It's calming. Yeah. And desert at night was incredible.
Gorgeous.
Seeing the stars, taking night photography, identifying little things. And like, you could take a picture and then like zoom in and be like, what's that cluster of stars? That always makes me feel like I'm at home as a starseed. I'm like, just like, oh, and you realize that you can't really see them. Even when it's like dark here in the city, you can kind of see like little twinkles when you're out with no lights. And Joshua Tree is like what they call like a dark park, I think they call it.
Yeah, there's no light
certain
pollution.
Parks. Yeah, no light pollution. It was incredible, like just incredible. So
did you see any UFOs?
No, not that I know of.
Ugh, sad.
But I mean, I think I would do that next time. I would like take a group of people out there, get a little campsite in the desert, do the alien calling stuff that we've seen in those videos that we're going to do.
Yeah. I'm doing it.
I bet they'd be cool aliens. But yeah, it was so good. And it was just, let's see what else. It was also just like, you kind of had to like stay inside during like the hottest part of the day because it was just almost unbearable. But it was nice to come back to the Airbnb. There was like a little cowboy pool, you guys, which is just like a metal
tank. Yeah.
A cattle tank, exactly. But they had a sauna there. But yeah, all the landscape, there's no grass. Like there's not like, you can't like lay out, so little things like that I was like, ooh, like I was doing some breath work and I was like standing on Mother Earth and I was like, ooh, that's a rock. Ooh, ouch, so you have to be like kind of careful around that. But yeah, I think I'm definitely a beach girl. That is my preference versus mountains versus desert versus what else? City. Like I would be like beach number one. That's my choice.
I love that for you.
What about you? You like the desert, yeah?
I do. I don't know that I could live there full time, but I do like it.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
It's dry. And there's no grass. If we could zero scape our yard, like if we didn't have dogs, I would have the yard zero scape because I just don't like fucking with it.
Oh yeah, like
I just
watering
want
it
it to be easy. Yeah.
tending to it. Yeah.
I am not a yard work person. I just like it. I think it's pretty. I like the colors, like the
Mm.
contrasts, like the greens and the blues with the oranges. Yeah, I like it. But I like Arizona desert.
I was gonna say like Southwest is definitely different than this. This was like
Yeah.
monotone.
Barren. Yeah.
Was. And like,
Desolate.
yeah, but it's cool because the Joshua trees are like freaking Dr. Seuss trees. Like
They're
there's
really
like,
cool.
they're just like, hey, like
They're so cool.
they're funny. So I did talk with some of them. I talked to some of the Joshua trees, and a lot of their advice was, yeah, be weird, be unique, be like stand out, you know, like who cares? Like nature doesn't care if they're weird looking. They fucking love it.
Mm-hmm.
And we are part of nature.
Turns out. It's
So
all
let's be
biological
weird.
material. You are
Yeah.
compostable as a human.
That's true. And I think like to your point, like the desert does attract a certain kind of person who's into spirituality and weird stuff. And I don't know, rusty stuff,
Specifically,
you know, old kind of stuff. I also met a horse. There was this guy, we went to this place called Pioneer Town. And there was this horse there that I connected with a little bit too. Like this guy just like rode his horse into town and like tied it up on the little post.
I don't know why you think that's weird. I grew up in Texas.
Do people ride their horse down the street in Texas?
I mean, they do it here in Colorado too. Like
What?
there's a lot of horse people.
In your neighborhood? You'll see somebody riding a horse?
We don't live by like big ranches, but I'll like drive north and there'll be like people riding horses on the side of the road.
Yeah, like this was this guy's car.
Yeah. I guess they don't do that in the Pacific Northwest.
We ride Yetis and,
like pretty normal here.
That's cool. Yeah, that's not normal for me. So just to see somebody like trot down with their horse, parking their horse. Because at first I was like, oh, is this like cute, like old timey? Because he was like, and then he was like roping.
It's like
so there was this
character.
Yeah, that's what I thought, you know, and then he like trotted off and like went home. And I was like, I guess not. But I think he was kind of like an honorary member, or I think he did come for like shits and giggles, you know, fun for the tourists and stuff. But yeah, he was like, there's like a fake little cow thing, whatever. And he was like roping it, like practicing his like lasso or whatever, roping it. The thingy thing. It was fun. It was so different from where I am. It was almost kind of like a desert amusement park in a way. And it's super small, and things closed down. No, so there's not a whole lot going on either. You know, it's very quiet, which was nice. Oh, so nice. That was the other thing. It was quiet. I hear my neighbors. I live right by a big shopping complex. So there's just trucks and UPS and noises. And to like wake up and just hear birds. I recorded on my phone for 10 minutes, just birds chirping.
That's so nice.
So beautiful. And then some woman and her kids walked by and they ruined it. So I had to hit pause.
Just edit that out.
Yeah, it was lovely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going on a trip with my friends, and we tried to make plans to go to Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
We tried really hard. And it just like didn't work out. And then like the one weekend we were all available happened to be, what's it called?
Coachella.
Yeah. So everything was like the Airbnbs that I was looking at that were like well priced were like $5,000 a night.
Oh,
it was ridiculous. Just insane. I know. So then we were like, let's go to Arizona. So we're going back to Arizona.
Well, maybe you'll have another fun story to tell us, and maybe there'll be another guy in a van.
So eventful. I know. What's up with the Roberts? I need to see the Roberts.
I forget what episode. That was like one of our earlier episodes, but
last season sometime. But yeah, we're going back and we're going to do the CE5 meditation.
Oh, so you guys are going to contact aliens?
Yeah, we're going to do it. I've been wanting to do it for so long, and there's going to be like 4 of us, so it's a nice group. Feel a little safer in numbers.
Yeah, you can do it by yourself, but it's not recommended. Or what?
I think it's better in a group, just like the frequency,
more powerful.
Like, group frequencies are always amplified. I'm so excited.
They're freaking gonna come.
I'm gonna get videos.
Like, oh, hi,
Natalie. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, get everything set up so you can record it.
Yeah.
Because videos of aliens are always bad, blurry, shaky. Right?
I can't promise it won't be shaky, but I'll do my best.
That's cool.
But that's great. I'm so glad you had a good birthday experience. We hadn't talked about it because you were still integrating.
I was kind of a hot mess last week, I think.
Yeah, last week was weird energy.
Very weird.
It was rough.
It was rough. I read there's a bunch of solar flares, which I was going to tell you when we were talking about it. So what happens is like the solar flares like explode off the sun, and then it takes like a couple of days for it to reach us. But then like energies feel intense. It was like, I think it was April 1st, and it was the Aries,
new moon.
The new moon, and it was in Aries, and it was Aries, and I'm an Aries, and I was just like literally under the covers. I was like, I can't take this. This is so much. This is so intense. And like and it's so funny because it's like when it moved out of Aries, I was like, oh, thank God, I can breathe. Sorry, Aries are intense.
Well, I think actually that's when they hit, was on the new moon. All those energies.
What does that mean?
Plasma.
Like, why is the sun doing this?
Oh my gosh. I had my little intuitive practice session groups.
Yeah.
The last months. I gave everybody the option of channeling something I chose and something they chose for like messages for the group.
Yeah.
And I had them channel the sun. Like if anything weird was going on or whatever. And she was like, no, it's just doing its job. I see it it's like slapping the earth.
Like, bam, bam.
Slapping it with these energies.
Oh. Hilarious.
But it's just like, that's a part of the plan. Like it's just doing its job, doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. And my guides are saying like, it's less about like what you can do about it or why it's happening. It's more about what you can do when it does happen. Like, how can you protect yourself or be aware of it? Or they're just kind of saying to me, like, realize that like, you're not crazy. I've been doing that so much for clients. I'm like, so you're not crazy.
So welcome.
You are feeling this. You are feeling the intensity,
it's
and
valid.
We always do that now. We're like, when we're feeling off, we're like, where's the fucking moon?
That's exactly what I look for. Because like, I love that after doing all of this healing work, I'm not automatically like, there's something wrong with me. I'm like, there's something wrong with the moon.
What does that moon doing? And to confirm your theory, yes, my cycle starts when the moon is in Taurus.
Did we talk about that on the podcast, or did we talk about that outside the podcast?
Okay, so I think maybe we did, but who knows? It's all the same, recorded or not. I kept getting Natalie was like, pay attention to where the moon is in your cycle. And so last time it was in Taurus. And I usually come about 4 days after the new moon in my current cycle, because like your cycles can change. And so this time when I got my period, I was like, oh, I got to go back and check. And I looked, and yeah, sure enough, I fucking love that. So now
get it again.
I'm going to see, right? Because this was only 2 days after the new moon.
See, I feel
that
like
it happened.
When they tell you to track, well, not they in the spiritual community are like, track your cycle. Like you're supposed to quote unquote bleed on a full moon and a new moon.
Yeah.
Like, and if you don't, somehow your cycle's irregular or off. But like I consistently had my cycle every time the moon was in Cancer. So like, once a year it lands on a full moon.
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't mean it's irregular. Like that's regular for me. It doesn't have to fall on like a major moon cycle to be regular. Just track it.
Yeah.
See what it's in.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense, because when I do get my cycle, I'm so very like, I want to feel warm. I want to feel cozy. I want
Taurus.
to have blankets. I want my food.
I want nice
Get
things.
away from me. Yeah. I want nice things.
Don't you have Chiron in Taurus?
I sure do. Which is why we were talking about it. Because you're like, maybe all this is related.
Oh yeah. Because we were talking about Chiron, because my Chiron's in Cancer, and Chiron's the wounded healer. So it's like your biggest wound in this life. So just hilarious that we both, I wonder, do other people get their
get to visit our wounds? Yeah. Let us know. Do you pay attention to where your Chiron is?
Yeah.
And then when you get your cycle, and is it the same sign?
Yeah.
So curious.
Send us an email, tag us. That would be so interesting.
Yeah.
What else were we going to talk about today? Oh yeah. We might not have recorded last week, but we did chat.
We did.
About a lot.
We did. So much.
One of those things was like universal laws. Have really like been coming up for me. I've been going in my records like every day, just checking in, seeing what's going on, asking for faves. Last
rewriting my history.
No big deal. Yeah. Well, I'm I'm like in the creation process of this manifestation e-course. It's a mini e-course. So like
you're creating this.
Yeah, I've got
Okay.
it all outlined. I just haven't like started the actual physical creation of it.
Okay.
I've just been like deciding on the components I want to include because there's so many different ways to manifest.
Yes.
And I already have a course on the, growing your intuition, unblocking, reconnecting you to it, working with your guides and stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, how can this be like a next level?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've got this intuitive practice, I'm connected, but like, what are the fun ways I can use it? And one of those ways is like manifesting. But there are universal laws that will not be broken. I thought that was very interesting because the one that my guides specifically were like telling me about was the law of non-interference.
Yes.
Like they are not allowed to interfere in your life unless you ask.
Yes. Yes.
And I have this, I like write, what's it called? It's not channel. Is it automatic writing? Channel writing? When I'm in my records, and it's just easier for me to get the information. It comes so much more freely.
You type?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Well, because if I wrote, I wouldn't be able to read it.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I've seen some people's automatic writing. I'm like, what?
That's not real. It's not real language. So this is what they said. Because I was asking for a bunch of things in my records, which again, like teach you all my tips and tricks in this course that's coming out. But they said that they hate watching us struggle. And I was on the struggle bus last week, but they hate it. So they're grateful that I came in and asked for the help. And they also want to make sure that we know that we have to ask why we're choosing something. Like there's a lot of spiritual bypassing out there. There's this, well, they're calling it just like a malfunction in thinking, that you don't have to understand why you're going through something, but you do have to really understand why you're choosing it to be able to fully move through it and like choose something else. It's like, why am I choosing it in this iteration? So they were saying you have to ask why you're choosing something because that gives you an understanding that respects your sovereignty and free will as a human, because you're sovereign, you have total free will. They're saying that we won't always need to understand things in order to fix them or move through them or choose differently. But right now we do need that understanding as like an energetic unlocking, almost like a catalyst for like true healing to occur. And without that understanding, they were saying you're kind of in darkness and you cannot heal from that just darkness. So we're not inhabiting our full light bodies yet. So the understanding is that the light will come through the darkness, and that part is essential to healing. Whoa. So if you're having trouble getting assistance from your guides when you ask for it, then there's this understanding part that's missing, is basically what they were saying. And I keep going in my records and be like, okay, why am I choosing to experience this? Why am I choosing to experience this? And they're saying like that part is really key to the law of non-interference. They can't interfere until you understand why you're choosing it and then choose differently. Then they can come in and help.
And when you choose differently, that's when you can ask them to help. Is like, and once you've got the understanding, you're like, okay, now I want to do something different. Guides, help me do this different thing.
Come help me. Yeah. It's like they won't bypass that lesson, that understanding.
Totally. That's so true. That's kind of what I feel too. It's like you have to know why you're doing the thing, why you're knocking your head against the wall.
Why am I choosing this? Yeah.
That's a beautiful insight.
It was really nice. They were just like so grateful that like I was asking from a place of already understanding why.
Yeah. And I think I shared an experience with you about non-interference with my guides when I was writing an email. And I was writing this email and I started to like do this old habit, and they weren't saying anything, but they were definitely like,
should you be doing
so I could almost like, you know how somebody's like, I'm not saying anything, but you can like feel the energy of, they're like, oh gosh, she's doing that thing again. Yeah. And then I was like, erase. And they're like, oh, okay, she's changing it. And then I like hit send, and I literally heard them go like, yay, like she did it. And I was talking to them about that. And I said, why is this so hard for me to learn? And they're like, because you're learning, right? They're like, don't be like, it's hard because it's new. It's hard because you don't have practice at it. It's hard because you don't know the code yet. But as soon as you know the code, you can go right into that and get it and move faster. So I just gave myself a lot of grace on that I'm learning.
I'm going to offer up that you ask your guides why it has to be hard for you to learn it.
Yeah. Because I feel like my programming around learning is around being hard and difficult and challenging.
I think it's a lot of people's programming around it.
Yeah. Like it's almost like when I overcome it, it feels that much better, that much sweeter. Like, I don't know if I mind it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind doing hard things. I don't mind the challenge. I could always bring in another experience, but yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like, I don't shy away from it being hard or challenging or difficult. Sometimes I think that builds in certain ways for me. I'm sure there's always an easier way. Natalie's way is the easiest way.
I love
Natalie's on like
way.
Easy Street
all the time. Why does it have to be hard? Yeah.
Because I can do hard things, you know? That's probably just my personality flaw. I'm sure of it.
People just get a lot of validation. I see it all the time in sessions, just like that something has to be hard for it to also be valid. And like, that's the conditioning to maybe tiptoe around or see if you can reframe, like, why are you asking for this to be hard?
Yeah. Well, and I think for this too, it's like, there's the email specifically that I was writing, the work that I was doing in that email is like it's like lots of work that I'm doing related to that topic. So I don't know if it was like, I wouldn't say that it was hard, but it was definitely like, you know, when you're doing something and you're kind of like, am I doing it right? And I was like writing it and then erasing it. And I wouldn't describe that experience as like hard or challenging, but just more like, you know, when you're new at something, that's really what it felt like.
You're creating a new path.
Yeah. And so it's like,
it's just,
but it's like fun to be in the jungle and chop down the trees. And I mean, that's challenging work, I would say, but you know, I mean, maybe now they would just come with a bulldozer. I'm over here with my knife being like, isn't this fun, Natalie? She's like, bye, I'm at the beach.
Aliens to come and clear a path.
No, I love talking to you because it does remind me to just always level up above my current circumstances and just ask for a better way.
There are better ways. If you understand why you're not getting the better way, then you can ask for a better way.
That's true. That's true. I love that you go into your records every day. And you like, I think the other day we were talking, you're like, you were in there for an hour.
I was doing a lot of shit.
So like, are you like in an altered state when you're doing that? Like, how does do you kind of dip into about? No,
I
just
don't
kind of go up, get the answer.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of like hubbub about connecting and obviously having like a safe space. Like my office is a sacred space. So like coming in here, the intention's already set that like I'm protected, I'm good, I'm here to connect. That kind of is already established in this space. So it doesn't take me long to like beat me up and go talk to them. And I've done so much deconditioning and work around my intuition, and I've had it validated in sessions with clients and stuff like that, that I don't question it anymore. But I've also, if there's something that I'm receiving that I'm not sure of, I will muscle test and see if it's my ego.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
When you're getting downloads from Akashic
if I'm
Records.
like, that came through like especially loud, because sometimes your ego is louder than the intuitive downloads and guidance. Sometimes, not all the time, but if it sounds loud or it sounds like it's not coming from a place of like neutrality or love, then I'll muscle test and see if like that was my ego.
So while you're getting downloads, your ego is like chiming in when it feels like it?
It's not always. Normally when I'm in the records, I don't question it.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm in that like open space. But if I'm like walking down the street or something and get like a thought,
I see.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Test for it.
That's true. Yeah. But sometimes those like thoughts are just, does the ego do that?
It can, but it's normally a reaction.
Yeah.
To something. The ego thought is normally a reaction. It's not like an original.
Yeah. Or like a downloaded plop in thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I knew more about the records and going in there.
I love them. I'm obsessed.
What do you like when you say like, show me this or help me understand that? Then is that what you do? And then do you get like visions? Like, how do you receive your info depending on the question you ask, or do you get it the same way?
It just depends. You have to be really specific because there's so much information in the records, like of how you're phrasing your question.
Yes.
And leaving it open-ended, never a yes or no, because there's always more than that.
Yeah.
So I normally, when I'm like experiencing something uncomfortable or that I don't like, Like, I
Mm-hmm.
do not want to receive it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go in the records and ask, like, why am I choosing to experience this way?
And then they'll show you
Mhm,
or what? Like
mhm.
is it a vision? Like a vision?
Yeah, like, I wonder if I have an example because I have my notes pulled up.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm not absorbing protein well lately. Like, I've always had
Okay.
digestive issues.
Yeah.
Um, and so I went in and I was like, okay, why am I choosing to experience protein malabsorption? Or another way it
Okay.
could be like, why is it hard for me to digest
Yeah. Yeah.
protein?
Yeah.
And they will just literally come through with like a straightforward, direct answer. They said like the density of the protein, animal protein, is not as easy for me to digest. It keeps me like weighed down in my body.
Mm.
It's like a rebellious thing that I'm doing. It's coming from not really fully wanting to be here physically. And they said like there's a better way to balance that energy.
Oh, so then when you get the like download that like maybe this part like you don't want to be here, then you can go ask about that and like show me more, show me more.
If I wanted more elaboration, but that felt complete to me. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I get it.
Why don't you want to be here sometimes?
I mean,
Being human is hard.
don't say it's hard.
Okay, being human can be hard.
It's not as instantaneous as I think I like in other dimensions and other
Yeah.
realms.
I had a client the other day and she was just trying to help everybody and almost like do the work for them. And my guide said, look, in another existence, this is how you used to do. You used to go inside people's bodies and clear out all their shit and then come out. And now that you're in a physical form, you can't work that way. So you have to learn how to do that similar thing where you're helping them and healing them, but without just doing it for them. Because this is what your human experience is. And I was like, holy shit. So if you have like past lives or past existence or past whatever, where you were much more ethereal, less in a human body, yeah, you can sometimes be like, oh, and I think the kiddos coming in who have all this like telekinesis shit that we just watched that video on, and all these psychic abilities to just manifest things, when they can't get their apple juice because they just think apple juice, they're going to cry. And you're not going to know why unless you can connect with them in my course that I'm making.
Yeah.
Then you'll know they want apple juice.
I think it's just really different for like light workers, starseeds, volunteers, like we were talking about the Dolores Cannon books. But it is maybe more frustrating because you have to go about it in such a different kind of old. This is what my higher self was saying. Like, it's archaic. Like the version of the human body that we're in is obviously upgrading with each new generation. They're getting better DNA. We're unlocking our DNA through healing and getting different expressions of genes, the more healing work that we do. And it's all in prep for like the next generation to be that much better and do that much more. So like each generation is getting like an upgraded human body. So like it can be really frustrating or just different when it's not as instantaneous here.
I mean, is that part of your experience though, to have these type of frustrating experiences that you go in and fix them and help people fix theirs?
Yeah.
Yeah. My guys were just like, that was channeled, you guys.
Yeah.
Do you see? I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. Like when I go through something that's like a normal physiological reaction to something, and I don't like the way that I'm experiencing it, I get mad. And then I go on my records. I'm like, why am I choosing this?
Well, that's why I love you, because I just sit here and suffer. And
I don't. I refuse. No.
She's like, I'm going in my records.
Absolutely not. I refuse.
I guess that's what it's like being human. Now it's like, absolutely not.
Absolutely. We will not settle.
We will have new kinds of humans. You're probably like a secret human programmer or something, you know. You do kind of reprogram people with your work.
I mean, yeah, that's essentially what it is. It's so cool. I love doing what I do.
Me too.
It's so cool. Another universal law. Yes. Obviously we've touched on before, the law of attraction, but I feel like there maybe is like a skewed perception of what this means.
You have to be cute.
Right. It's the law of physical attraction.
Right. Okay. Tell me what you've heard. What are the misconstrued notions about law of attraction?
I think that there's a lot of spiritual bypassing with the law of attraction. That people are like, okay, I think it, I say that I want it, so I'm going to get it. When that's not how the law of attraction works.
Yeah.
the law of attraction is an energy law. It's all about your
Mhm.
energy. It's not about your conscious thoughts, your conscious things. Your actions can change your energy because your actions are momentum. So if you're choosing to act differently in accordance with the things that you want, then yes, you will attract those things to you.
Love it. Yes.
But it is a lot about what's in your energy field, what's in your programming that you
Yeah.
attract. So if you're like,
Yeah.
why do I keep attracting shitty relationships and shitty jobs? Well, there's something in your programming that you believe you deserve to receive through those things.
Yeah. And is it because from that higher perspective of believing, it's like they want to just keep learning that lesson and bringing those experiences in until they finally have the aha to break away from it?
Yeah, like if you feel like you're in a pattern, you could ask your guides, like, why am I choosing to repeatedly go through this
Yeah.
pattern until I learn this lesson? And
Yeah.
most of the time, it's just because that's the best way you're going to learn it, because obviously you're frustrated by it.
And you want to like hop over it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
fix it. I think I remember reading books about law of attraction, and somebody was just like manifest a cup of coffee or whatever. And, so you're just like, I think I want a cup of coffee. Somebody's going to bring me a cup of coffee. And then like literally somebody did bring me a cup of coffee.
I think with little things, I think
Yeah.
those are like showing you that, like, yes, this is possible. There is power in your mind. There's power in conscious creation.
Yeah.
But you're also consciously creating the things you don't like about your life.
Yeah.
You're
That's
also
so
attracting
true.
those.
Yes. Yeah. And I think too, like, I was working with a client who like makes like millions of dollars. And I had this moment where I was like, I don't even know what it feels like to be a millionaire. And I was like, if I want to grow and whatever, I was like, I have to like learn how to attract that. And I have to feel what it feels like to have this wealth and have this abundance. Cause of course I want to share it when I get lots of money. I don't want to just spend it on myself, but I want lots of money to create these big things because that's our currency here. And I was just like, oh, that's so interesting. So how do you do it when maybe you have like no idea, but it's kind of a far off thought?
About like wanting millions of dollars or
Yeah,
anything?
or anything, like how do you start to like resonate? Like, so I've heard that like, okay, I tell people like you use all your senses, right? So like,
Mhm.
what does it smell like in the room, right? What does
Right.
it feel like? What are you wearing? What sounds are you hearing? Like you're hearing mic check and you're about to get up on stage. Like, so really kind of envisioning it, because our psychic senses are magnetic is what they're saying to me. So you start to create like little magnet pulses and things come into your life.
The more real you can make it for yourself
Yeah.
by engaging all your senses.
Yeah.
I think there's several ways
Okay.
to go about manifesting whatever you want, which is why I'm making this course. I think there's just so many different ways. You have to like find
That's
one that
true.
really works for you. But one of my favorites is either calling in the like future version of myself that already has what I want and like feeling
Yes.
their energy, or an expander, somebody who is living the life currently that I want, or they have something I want or whatever. I'll like invite their energy forward and look at their energy around money or whatever it is that I want. And I'll
Oh,
see
I
how
love
that
that.
feels in a different,
Yeah, yeah,
differentiated
yeah.
against mine.
Oh, I love that. I never thought about doing another person that I admire or look up to or want to emulate. That's a great idea.
Just feel into the different energy, like feel into the potential of it, the possibility of it.
I want to call him Beyonce's energy. Fucking, what would it be like to be
I don't want that
Beyonce?
energy.
Really?
Yeah, she might be a part of the Illuminati. I don't want that.
She is.
Oh, thank you. No, thanks. Also, be particular about the person that you're calling in and like what iteration of them you're calling in, because to experience somebody else's energy, you experience like all of their energy. So you have to be specific.
Yeah, like don't call in Fat Elvis, call in like Vegas Elvis or
Oh.
I'm just trying to think of somebody who has like lots of iterations of themselves. What kind of things you can manifest anything? Jobs,
Anything. Yeah, anything.
physical things.
Yeah.
Is it mostly physical? Is it more, can you manifest like emotional shifts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, it's literally anything. Your thoughts create your reality. So what is it that you want to create?
I think what happens is that sometimes your thoughts have trauma in them, or they're clouded, or you don't trust your own thoughts. That's the conditioning part, which is why it's important maybe to decondition a bit, or pay attention that you're manifesting through a conditioned type of lens.
Yeah. If you're trying to call something in and it's not coming through or in the way that you want it, maybe the universe doesn't want to give it to you in the way that you're asking for it. I'm not saying to like manifest an outcome. You're really tapping into the frequency of the potential, not a specific outcome. What like I saw this on TikTok that the universe, God sort Gus is the driver in your life.
Oh yeah.
You're in the passenger seat telling it where to go, but you don't get to decide the stops along the way, who you pick up with you.
Why not?
It's contracted. But you give it
That's
direction.
the law.
You give it direction.
Can we be like, don't pick up that person?
I don't know if you can
lock the door, spirit, lock the door.
There are some contracts that you can't escape because you have to have that understanding, that lesson that your soul signed up for. But it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah, it can be fun and easy.
It doesn't have to be hard. Yeah.
It's like nothing hard in your life, Natalie.
If at this point,
yeah,
if something feels really hard, then I'm doing it wrong.
Oh,
because I've already shifted beliefs about like life is easy for me. This is easy. This is comfortable. Like I want to flow through life.
Yeah.
I do not want to be clawing my way to the finish line. Oh, so if it feels like I'm meeting a lot of resistance or like I don't enjoy the way that I'm going through something, I will figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. I think another way that is helpful for me to manifest is to write things down because it is important to be specific and just really writing down, like, if you're looking, I do this a lot with clients who are like looking for a new place to live or, you know, they're expanding their family. And I will tell them like, put the neighborhood, put the street, put the backyard, put how many bedrooms, put whatever else in. People are like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And I think people get so surprised when they actually find it because, you know, like looking for real estate or whatever, it's like, there's always like this game of like, well, what can I compromise? And it's like, you actually don't have to compromise. You might have to wait a little bit longer, but like, and I will tell clients that they're like, what about this? I'm not quite close. And that's the other thing is like, when you start to manifest and stuff comes into your life, it's spirit's like, is this it? And they're like, and if it's like, that's kind of like nice, but I wish it had a bathroom, but like, okay, add that to your list. And you like recalculate. I was here searing, like, recalculating, refine it, sharpen it. So it's like, you know, because people like, that's the other thing is like the first thing that comes manifested, like check it against your kind of desires and be like, is that exactly what I was thinking? Yeah. Or do I need to be like, oh, I need to be more specific. And, you know, sometimes you just don't realize how specific you need to be, right? You're like, no, I want it to be purple, you know?
Yeah.
Not mauve.
Right. Purple. Yeah. I feel like there's a fine line between that and attaching to an outcome.
Because I always try to tell myself that the universe, it's like this or something better. And literally every time the universe, they're better, is like fucking amazing.
Way better than I could have ever
imagined. And I'm like, oh, that's just like so perfect and so convenient. And you literally just drop that into my lap. And I will get those things where I'll be thinking about something. And that's a lot of where it is, where you just start to manifest. You're like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm calling in. And somebody will be like, hey, Jess, do you want to do this thing with me? And I'm like, that's exactly what I was thinking and looking for. And I was like, how am I going to find this person to do this very specific thing? And this person's like, here's this very specific thing I do. And I want to do it with you. And I'm just like, thank you, universe. But also thanks to me because I manifested.
Because my thoughts create my reality. Yeah. I'm the one creating this. Yeah. I don't know how we got on manifesting, but I guess law of attraction is tied closely with manifestation.
That's a good differentiation point though. Yeah. It's like it's whatever is going to come to you is going to match what you're vibrating or about yourself. Yeah. Are there any other universal laws? We did not interference. We did law of attraction.
I don't really know all of them.
Oh,
these are the ones that came on.
Are there any other laws that they want us to know about, guys? They're kind of showing me like what they're calling for it for me is like trust, 100% trust. So like if you do all these things, but you don't believe it, you don't trust it, you're kind of like going through the motions, that's not going to work. Like to your point where you're just like, I'm just going to be like, bring me a cup of coffee, but then you don't actually really believe it, but you're just like trying out the thought. It's like, you actually have to believe that somebody is going to bring you a cup of coffee. You have to see that person or just manifest it. It can be this latte from Starbucks, whatever it is. But like you actually, my guys are like, why else are you doing this? Like, don't do something and then not fully believe in it.
Or half-ass it.
Right.
That's the universal law of not half-assing.
Yes.
Whole assing.
Whole ass your fucking shit. Because I have clients and they'll go into like an IUI and then they'll be like, it didn't work. And I was like, oh, and they're like, I knew it wasn't going to work. And I was like,
you said,
how did you know?
You decided the outcome before you even went in.
Yeah. So it's like, you have to believe that it's going to work. And I think that's like scary because it's like, it can be scary because it's like, what if it doesn't? And blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. But like, that's all doubt and other people's like business. Just sit in the belief that this is going to happen, that you are worthy, that this will occur, whatever it is. And that's the spirit babies say. They're like, don't go into trying to conceive me if you don't think it's really going to work. Like you have to be all in.
Yeah.
The words they use were inappropriate to share on a podcast.
Balls deep.
Yes. They actually said balls to the walls, but yes. I was like, you guys, but like all in. That's so... Hello. You have to be all in. And that took me a long time to learn. And my spirit guide showed me that I was hanging on to a riverbank with a fingernail. And they're just like, just let go. Just be in the flow. It's going to be okay. Like, we're not going to let you hit any rocks. Like, we're here to help you. And I think maybe if you have some traumatic, spaces around not trusting people, right? Not trusting authority figures, not trusting helpers in your life, helpers that maybe fucked you over in your life, you might experience that with your guides, right? And so just continuing to develop that relationship with them and build that trust that they are always loving and kind, which is unique because not everybody has that type of experience in their life. It's just really lovely, but it does take a little bit of time sometimes if you've had an experience of mistrust or distrust to actually think it's going to happen. But I tell people, I'm like, once I let go of that fingernail, once I was in the flow of the river, like you never look back. So amazing to manifest things and have things happen. And I think I've told this on the story. Like my first thing was like, okay, spirit, fill my 3:00 on Wednesday. And like, no joke, 20 minutes later, bing, it'd be filled. And I was like, oh. And so then I would just tell people to do that. And they're like, it doesn't work, Jess. And I was like, oh, but you got to believe it.
There's a difference.
You got to actually believe that you want that filled and you're going to call in the right client and that spot is waiting for somebody that needs to hear it.
Yeah. And if you don't get it, there's a reason.
Yeah. And then you can go into your records and be like, WTF.
Why didn't I get it?
Why am I choosing to not
why
have
am
clients?
I choosing this? Yeah.
And then you'll get downloads like, because you need a rest, because of this, because of that, because you're going through this, and another thing I like to say is like the universe isn't punishing you, they're very
if
nice.
You believe it does.
Some people do, and I feel so sorry for them, but no,
there are better ways.
Universe is so nice. What did Gabby Bernstein say? It's got your back.
Yeah, I think she said that.
Gabby.
Oh,
Gabby. Like we know her.
Right. I feel like I know enough.
I love it. Okay, what else are we going to talk about?
We were going to touch on the full moon in Libra because it's... When is the full moon in Libra? Because it's coming up. When this episode comes out, it's on the 16th. So this comes out Monday the 11th.
That's the 411.
It's the 411. So then in 4 days, there will be the full moon in Libra. So ending any cycles that started September? No, October.
Yeah, early October. Late September.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not much to say about that. Jess doesn't like Libras. I like Libras.
Bus thrown under. All these Libras going to be coming for me with their fucking scales.
Yeah. Don't lie.
Libras. Okay. Here's what I feel about Libras. I love Libras. Here's what's hard for me with Libras is they're here. One, I think it's my opposite sign as an Aries, but maybe we're not sure about that, but I think it is. But it's just like a lot of it has to do with relationships and partnerships and all that kind of stuff. And I find that to be just one of the most painful areas for people. Having a partner, not having a partner, trying to find a partner.
So much outsourcing.
All this kind of stuff. And it's like hard sometimes for me to sit with that, people wanting to be in partnerships or not understanding partnerships, or because I want them to have it too, but I'm like, but they're so Libra, and they're kind of flittery.
They're
They're
an
an
air
air
sign.
sign. So they're kind of all over the place sometimes for me. And it's sometimes like we'll change directions 97,000 times. And you're a Gemini, and I feel like Geminis do it differently than Libras.
We don't do as much. I feel like a Gemini doesn't invest as much in each like flit, or I feel like Geminis are
Yeah.
like, could be.
Yeah. Whereas the Libra, the scales, I feel like there's a lot of like, well, we could have Thai food, or we could go and get Mexican, or we could do this, or we could do that. I'm like, oh, but duh.
It's too many options.
What are we going to do, Libra? Let's pick something and go. That's me. That's the Aries. And then I get frustrated with that. I'm like, let's go, Libras. Let's go. Let's pick something. And it's like, everything is going to be good. We can get tacos tomorrow.
Yeah. I think it's probably just because it's the opposite of your sign.
Yes. And also, but what I love about Libras, hi, y'all are beautiful people.
Oh, they're physically beautiful.
God, they're physically beautiful. And you dress well, and you have this like elegance and creativeness and artistic that probably I'm just jealous of, to be honest. Because I could probably just wear like the Steve Jobs turtleneck and be fine.
Yeah.
But I admire all the attention and all the details and all the beauty that you bring. I really do. I really do. Just, can we do it a little bit quicker? Bless. Can we have, like, I cannot have a Libra child. I'd be like, no.
You better knock on wood.
Watch me knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
No, I think they're going to be all water. I think they're going to be water, water, water. My husband and I are fire, fire, fire. And they're going to be like, ready to feel, guys? Let's cry. Let's cry, shall we? Let's have a cry.
I said year of tears, 2022.
But I think maybe in this full moon, maybe looking at partnerships, right? Maybe there's friendships that have ended, relationships that have ended, or I was like, endings don't always have to be like bad things. Like maybe there was a rough patch and that's complete. And now you're growing stronger because of that, right? Like I have a lot of couples that have had some aha moments after big conversations. And this Libra moon is a good time to celebrate. Hey, we made it through that. We completed that as a couple and now we're growing, right? So I feel like sometimes full moons are like, fuck it, leave it, burn it, it's dead, and it's like, also it's celebration.
It is
right?
Celebration.
It's like what's going well, what's full and beautiful and big about partnerships and relationships in your life.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah. Wow. I'm getting kudos. I'm finally getting kudos from Natalie. I finally said something right, you guys.
Yeah, acting like a monster.
She keeps me in check. Oh, and that's all of us in check.
I just don't want you to limit yourself. I don't want you to limit yourself.
Exactly. It's just so nice to have somebody who's like, I know. I make so many like Instagram noise references and people are like, what? I'm like, oh, you haven't seen that thing?
Oh, that shows us where we are as a collective. I've taken time off social media because it's running my life lately.
Oh, how is it running your life? Like you feel like you have to show up and do the thing?
It's just too much right now. Yeah. It's a lot, like losing yourself. It's a portal. Social media is a portal. I mean, like you can lose yourself in it if you don't have like an intention going into it. And I like just waste a lot of time.
Yeah. I'm much more here or there on social media. I want to be alive and say hello, but it's really bursty for me. It's like, I'm on it. I'm like every day, stories, fun. And then I'm like,
quiet.
Yeah. Cause I don't want to put up stuff if I don't have anything good to say or fun to say or share. I'm not going to just be up on your feed just cause.
Yeah.
Here's my mug.
Well, I think that's about it. I think that's all we have on our list for today for this episode. We're also toying around. Did we talk about this last time? Maybe having guests. Maybe.
I don't know. See, it's hard to tell what was recorded and what wasn't.
2 weeks. But if you have any suggestions of anybody you'd like us to interview or talk to on the podcast, just let us know. Send us an email or a DM. We'll check them and we'll check them out, see who they are, see if they vibe. We're just playing around with the idea right now. So
yeah. And then really like, what else do you want us to talk about and explore? Because we're kind of like, okay, we talked about a lot of stuff.
We covered a lot of ground.
Do we want to go back into detail on certain things? just let us know. We're here for you and for, the collective to talk about this stuff. Bring it out in the open.
Yeah.
Because we're not afraid.
No, I'm not afraid. And on that note, we will see you next time.
Bye.